And blessings, everybody. It is moi, Melissa Renee, welcoming you to another episode of Her Mind is Beautiful. So I'm welcoming you into this safe, sacred space where we get to really unpack, reflect, reveal everything that will help us start to connect deeper and connect within ourselves, tap into that feminine energy. Today, let's talk about something. Let's talk about how a lot of us as Black women operate in our masculine energy unbeknownst to us. And it has a lot to do with us being conditioned. It's not by choice. It's just a way that we are conditioned. Because I hear a lot of Black women say, oh, I have to operate in my masculine because, I don't have help. I have to operate in my masculine because men don't step up. And in actuality, that's not true. We are operating in our masculine energy because that's the way we've been conditioned from the time we've been put here on this earthly realm. We've been conditioned that way. It has nothing to do with how men treat or don't treat us. In a sense, I say in a sense. However, it has everything to do with how we connect with ourselves and tap in with ourselves. I will say that because even looking at me, so I'm going to use me as an example. You hear a lot of women say, a lot of Black women say, oh, I can't tap into my feminine energy because I don't feel safe. I don't feel vulnerable. I have to always do what the man is supposed to do. I have to always put in the work that the man is supposed to put in the work. And I'm a living witness that that's not true. I'm a stay-at-home mom. I don't work. My husband is the main provider. I've been a stay-at-home mom for years now. However, I still was operating in my masculine energy because it has nothing to do with who provides for you and who doesn't. It has nothing to do with you being the person to have to provide and do. It has everything to do with how we internalize and how we've been conditioned. And for me, for instance, I came to the understanding of that when I felt so overwhelmed and I felt pulled from one end to the other. And then when you explain this and you say this to some women, they're like, oh, but you don't have to work. You're a stay-at-home mom. You don't go to no job. How are you stressed? A simple way to put it is because even though I'm not physically out there punching the clock in, going to work from 9 to 5 and coming home, the exhaustion, the pushing, the performing, it's within me. I'm constantly feeling as someone who is a stay-at-home mom because I'm not out there working, then I have to overperform, overcompensate. I have to be this for the kids. I have to be that for my husband. And I'm doing all of these things to try to somehow show my worth and show my value, when my value and my worth is just simply being who I am. But when you don't have a connection with who you are, you don't have a connection with your value and your worth, you tend to believe or feel or conditioned to have to prove it, to have to put yourselves in the position to, okay, I have to be the cook. I have to be the caregiver. I have to be the nurse, the teacher. I have to be the housekeeper. I have to be the sexual, whatever you call it, in the bedroom. And all of these things, I'm steadily just going from one thing to the other, to the other, to the other, with no sense of purpose, with no sense of intention, but more so like a checklist of things that I'm supposed to and need to do. So even if you as a woman felt like, oh, things would just feel so much lighter, my life would feel so much stress-free if these physical loads could be taken off of my shoulder, if I had a man who actually worked and I didn't have to go to work. You think that's going to solve your problem, but that's not going to solve your problem, because that's not why you've been operating in your masculine energy. You've been conditioned from the time you decided when you were 14 and 15 years old. And I say 14 and 15 because I'm an 80s baby, early 80s baby. And back in the day, we could start work. Some jobs you could work early as 14 years old. However, I digress. But if you've been someone who started working at the age of 14 and 15 because you had to help your parents, because there were extracurricular things that you wanted to do that maybe your parents couldn't afford or couldn't provide, or they wanted to give you a sense of responsibility, so they wasn't going to give it to you, so you had to get it yourself. So you've been working for whatever multitude of reasons, and that wasn't because a man made you work. That wasn't because a man wasn't providing. So it was conditioned in your head from childhood that you gotta pay the cost to be the boss. You gotta pay your way. Even when some of us, when we turned 18, we was told since high school, like, you need to figure out what you gonna do. You gotta learn how to take care of yourself. You ain't gonna be 18 just living in my house and trying to figure it out. You need a job. You need to go to school. All of these things were conditioned and imprinted in our minds from the time we were young, that as women, Black women, we need to get up, we need to go, we need to produce, we need to perform. So it has nothing, absolutely nothing to do with who's providing and the load you have on your shoulder. It has everything to do with what we have going on internally, from the spirit to the mind. So I'm going to briefly discuss masculine energy, because we have masculine energy, we have feminine energy. Last episode, episode 10, when I was speaking on the difference between femininity and feminine energy, I kind of gave y'all, well, not kind of, I gave y'all more in-depth definition of what feminine energy is. I'm just going to touch on it a little bit when it comes to masculine energy. But if you want to get in depth, just get really in depth in what feminine energy is, just go check out last week's episode of Her Mind is Beautiful, episode 10, and you can get all of that there. But to briefly hit on it, masculine energy, I like to explain it like this. Masculine energy to me is what we do. It's the action, it's the willpower, it's doing, basically, making it happen. It's achieving, it's pushing, it's proving, protecting, controlling. That's masculine energy. It's the do. And feminine energy is being. It's what's going on inward. So I like to say, like, masculine energy is like outward energy. It's the energy that we exude outwardly, that we project outwardly. And feminine energy is being, receiving, flowing, nurturing, expressing. Everything that has to do, that's going on inward. So it's like they are polarities, but they complement each other in so many different ways. So our feminine energy is what we have going on within, the nurturing, the intuition, the emotions, the feeling. And masculine energy has a lot to do with what we have going outward, achieving, accomplishing, doing, pushing, striving, protecting. It's just like the go in us, the will in us, what pushes us to, to go and move forward. the physicality, and then you have what's in. So I like to say one is like external, one is like internal in that sense. That's why I like to say when they say what's within is without. It's like the feminine is within, and then we put that out. We project that out. That's the masculine. We all carry both energies. There is no masculine without feminine. It's a balance. It's the yin and the yang. It's like the sun and the moon. We both carry these energies. I think the misconception is the fact that, like I discussed in the last episode, we confuse femininity with feminine energy. So that's why some men kind of are reluctant to the idea that they possess and they have feminine energy, because feminine energy, people have associated it or use it interchangeably with femininity, and that's not the same thing. And if you want to know the difference, like I said, go check out the previous episode of Her Mind is Beautiful, and I get into all of those details. And you may operate in one more than the other, which means that you're in balance, because the whole idea is to have both and operate in both equally. There's a balance in both of those. So it's like, but you need to be connected within to have this balance of whatever it is that you're doing. So yes, you are a mother. You should be taking care of your kids. That's the masculine energy. But if you balance it with the feminine energy, you're going to not just take care of your kids, you're going to nurture your kids. You're going to nurture them, which means, and I discussed in the last episode, you're going to promote your kids in a level of self-growth within them. So it ain't just making sure they got a roof over their head, making sure they wear clean clothes, making sure they wash, they go to bed, they have their morning routine, their evening routine, they go to school. That's the masculine. But you're going to balance that out with the feminine, because you're going to show them what it means to be kind. You're going to love on them. You're going to talk to them, allow them and teach them how to express themselves healthy, how to have emotions in a healthy way, how to connect with themselves. Give them this love that can't just be given by doing, but it's a connection that you're going to have with your child. Just getting to know your child, just connecting with your child as an individual and a human being. That's what balances you from just taking care of your child to actually taking care of your child, raising, loving, and nurturing your child. So at the end of the day, the feminine energy and the masculine energy has nothing to do with gender roles. It has nothing to do with being a woman or a man. It has nothing to do with sex roles, being a female or a male. It's just what we have within, what all of us possess. And some of us may possess or operate, I should say, we may operate and connect with one more than the other, which I already explained creates a level of imbalance. And I do feel like, depending on our sex, being female or male, one may come more naturally to us than the other. So as a female, as a woman, I naturally may operate in my feminine energy to an extent, naturally already, and I would more so be practicing to balance out that feminine energy with my masculine energy, and vice versa. A man might operate more in their masculine energy, but they balance it out with their feminine energy. So as a man, their mindset may be provide, I gotta protect. These are the things I have to do, but they balance that out because they allow themselves to have a level of vulnerability where they can be open with their partner and express how they feel, or they can be open with their children and give them a hug and express fears and express their emotions to their children, So next I'm going to talk about, with us as Black women, why we default in operating in our masculine energy and don't even realize it and don't even know it. So for one, I'm going to say, as being Black women, the first reason is definitely for survival mode. Definitely because we are in the mindset of surviving, and that just comes off of what's been passed down to us. Surviving. Our parents had the mentality of surviving, and that came from their parents, and that came from their parents. And it's understandable because being Black in America, going through Jim Crow, going through slavery, like, of course, you're going to have a level of survival instincts that kick in on how to maneuver and navigate in this country as a minority, as a Black person, as someone who is constantly dealing with basically life-threatening situations, or constantly being put in situations where your livelihood is being compromised, and you have to think of ways and means of how to live this life that you've been given without having to compromise your actual physical life, or have to compromise your mental health or your emotional health. We may have had grandparents or great grandparents who taught our grandparents, like, listen, you keep your head down and just do the work, because that's what they did in order to be able to get to where they were. They couldn't ruffle feathers because that may have caused them to be in situations where it made life harder for them, more difficult for them, or, like I say, they end up losing their life. And in turn, that is then passed down because your great grandparents raised your grandparents that way, and that's how they were raised. So now they're passing that on. Hey, just keep your head down. Even though the world around us has evolved some, I'm not saying it's perfect, I'm not saying it's great, but it's evolved. But when you come from a surviving mentality, because you had to live in a world where you had to constantly constantly have your head on a swivel, constantly looking and watching your back, then yes, you are going to pass that on to your children because that's where you are. It's kind of like trauma in a sense. It's kind of like PTSD. Like, the world is changing, but how do I know? You know what I'm saying? Because I've seen so much, and I'm just speaking from the older generation. I've seen so much, I've witnessed so much, I've heard so much, that this is now like a part of this is my DNA. It's embedded in my brain and my nervous system. So certain things is going to trigger me. I'm going to look at things a certain way. When you come in here and you say what you're not going to take from your boss, I'm going to immediately say, hey, don't go out there causing no trouble, because of me reverting back to how I came up and what I've experienced and what became my reality. So it's this constant being in survival mode because you don't have time to feel. So with that being said, that taught us how to perform. And like I said in the last episode, this still stems from a level of systemic racism, of us performing, us staying in the lines that they told us we had to stay in, us staying in the lines of do your work, don't question me, don't look at me, don't in no shape, way, or form make me feel uncomfortable. Because when and if you do make me feel uncomfortable, there are consequences to that. So we couldn't express ourselves. We couldn't speak on the inequalities and inequities that we had to deal with, which conditions us into just this performing thing. And then we pass that down to our children. And it don't just stop with systemic racism. Like, it definitely falls into just the system of classism and all of that too, because of the school system, the prison to pipeline, as people speak about. It's like you go to school, you learn, you do your work, and then you come home. No different than them teaching you the same thing of working a factory job. You go to work, you do the job, then you go home. Like a lot of jobs back in the day that did not promote or push any level of any type of internal connection. It was all about outward performance, outward achievements. You go to work, you do your job. And we see that now about jobs. Jobs don't care about your family life. They don't care about if you're sick, and you coming in and working while you sick is only going to allow you to get sick because why? You have a weakened immune system. So if I get sick at work and I don't get the proper time to heal and recover, I'm coming to work with a weakened immune system, which only is then going to cause my body to try to work harder. And that just puts more wear and tear on my body. But no one cares about that, because it's not about what you have going internally. It's not about making sure that you have the best quality of life, because if you have the best quality of life, that means you could come to work and you can perform better, which then at the end makes my business work better, because it's all connected. You taking care of yourself mentally, emotionally, spiritually, and physically is going to have you come to the job, and it's going to be more of a high morale at this job, because now you're not just going through the motions and just doing, but now you're doing it with intentions. You're doing it with purpose, which then creates this trickle down effect of a great positive working environment. But that would mean that they would have to lean into who you are and promote and push you connecting with that feminine energy within, you connecting with your authentic self, you making sure that you are the focal point in making sure that you're okay. Because if you show up for yourself, me as the employer, you can then show up for me the way you need to. What's being pushed is to perform, to constantly operate in your masculine energy, to perform. You go to the doctor, even when you go to the doctor, it's not, what's going on with you mentally. There is no, well, maybe you keep coming here for this same thing. Let's see what's going on in your home life. Let's see what's going on in your personal life. Let's see what's going on at work. Like, maybe the stresses of work, mentally or even physically, is weighing down on your body, which is causing your immune system to weaken, which is causing you to put yourself in a position where you have high blood pressure, where you are always getting sick with infections, where you got diabetes and all this kind of stuff, because one plays into the other. If I constantly have to be working, I'm not going to be intentional about making sure I cook a healthy meal every night. I'm just trying to make sure I feed myself and feed my family. So I don't have time to go to the fresh market and buy fresh food and cook fresh food every day. I'm just trying to survive. I'm just trying to do what I need to do for today, like a checklist. And because I'm not being mindful and intentional about what I'm cooking, because I'm not doing those things, I'm just going to make sure that the food tastes good so we can eat it and indulge it and say we had a meal. Now I'm dealing with being anemic because I don't have enough iron. Now I'm dealing with chronic stomach illnesses and pain because I ain't eating enough fiber. Like, all of these things play into one another, and it's interconnected because it's They both feed off of each other. They're both needed. So when one is in balance, it's going to show in so many ways. Taught to perform at school. You know, like you are like, do you really retain the information that you learned all 12 years in school? No, I can't tell you half of that stuff. Another way that we operate in our masculine energy and don't realize it is the hyper independence. I could do it myself. Oh, can't nobody, I got to do it because it ain't going to be done right if I don't do it. We fall into that very easily, doing it ourselves, feeling like we can't depend on other people. You see what happens when you depend on people? You can't trust people to do what they're supposed to do for you. So then it sits us in a position where we start to rely heavily on ourselves. And I'm not saying there's anything wrong with relying on yourself. You should feel safe to rely on you, making sure that you ain't gonna go without and you're gonna be taken care of regardless. However, we shouldn't feel like we can't ask for help or we can't receive help. We shouldn't feel like we don't want anybody else to do it because they're not going to do it like us. Of course, they're not going to do it like us. They're not us. But who's to say the way they do it is something wrong with it? Might not be nothing wrong with the way they do it. They just don't do it the way we do it. And I feel like that's, again, operating in that masculine when you're hung up on the way somebody's doing something. That's that masculine. And I'm going to say that's that wounded masculine because it's about control. It's about you putting expectations and standards and control over how someone does something because you have the expectation that you want it done the way you want it done. It don't even have to be that the way you want it done is more effective or better. It's just the fact that this is how you conditioned your mind to feel like this is the way I want it. This is how I want it to be. And I know because I've experienced that. I be on that tip. But you causing all of this pressure on yourself. You putting all of this pressure on your back just because you stuck in your ways and you're stuck in this perfectionism of how you want things to be seen. Like the hyper independence, a lot of us fall into the hyper independence. I'm like that. I've experienced that. This is how I want it to be done, especially when it comes to me creating. It's like I get fixated on wanting it to create and wanting things to be this way. And somebody might say, well, why not try this way? And it's like, that's not, you messing up my vision. But it's like, is it really? Because this way may actually be better. If you would be open up and receptive and realize that creativity just doesn't exude with you. Like creativity, you should be able to pull inspiration from any and everywhere. Another way is cultural conditioning. You know, I've been talking about conditioning all the way up to this point. But cultural conditioning, because in this society, Black women are constantly labeled strong, 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 a strong Black woman. And some of that has to do with us too. A strong Black woman. I seen my grandmama, she had 12 kids and she worked and she raised 12 kids and she did this and she did that and on and on and on. And it's like, cool. You know, she had to do what she had to do, but that doesn't mean that she didn't deserve rest. It doesn't mean that she couldn't have been strong in being tired and saying, you know what, like, I don't want to work this hard. I don't want to have to be the strong person and always have it together and not feel sad and not feel like, wait a minute, I need a moment because raising 12 or how many ever children is a lot on me. We are taught in our collective of Black women that disconnecting from our emotions somehow makes us strong. And it doesn't. It just means that you're detached from who you are authentically. And it then puts you in a place where you're operating solely in your masculine energy because you're not allowing yourself to feel. And when we feel sad, when we feel spent, when we feel weak, like I don't know if I can go on, it doesn't mean that we're weak. It doesn't mean that we're not strong. It means we're human. It means that we're alive. It means that we have feelings. Because like I've expressed, we're not robots. You're not meant to not feel sad. You're not meant to not want to cry. I'm not saying live there. I'm just saying acknowledge it, feel it, honor it. And we have been trained as Black women that strength is persevering through anything. Like at any moment, if we just say, you know what, I need a moment. I can't right now. I gotta remove myself right now. Or you know what, I just don't want to do it right now. I just don't want to be that right now. Like there's not strength in that. It's a lot of strength in being vulnerable to say, today, not today. I need to cry today. Like I get the whole, I'm saying, unbothered. I'm unbothered. No, sis, you're not a robot. You are bothered with some things. That's a lot of our issues, mine included. We'll sit here all day long. I'm unbothered. I ain't bothered about that. Don't bother me. I'm this, I'm that. But you are bothered. You do care what some people think. And only when we admit that we do care is when we can eventually get to revealing why we care and get eventually to unpacking that to the point where we actually can really say, well, I don't care. Not in the sense of your feelings or opinions ain't valid of however you want to feel, but it just means that it's not valid enough for me to feed into it or allow it to consume me. We have been labeled the strong Black woman, and I think we do need to redefine that and change that narrative to say what makes us strong as Black women is that, yes, we will do what we need to do when we need to do it, but we can also validate our emotions and our feelings. We can honor them, and we can say sometimes, I'm tired. I need to rest. Not today. I don't feel like hearing your problems today. I need time to myself. I need somebody to talk to. I need somebody to vent to today. I'm always listening to people vent to me. I need to vent today. I need somebody to help me with the solution. Society also conditions us as Black women where they teach us where somehow we have to earn to be soft, to rest. Like we ain't earning it. And I told you, I use the example of like, I could tell you from experience when I say I'm a stay-at-home mom. Like, well, let's be clear. When I decided to be a stay-at-home mom when I decided to not be a stay-at-home mom and not work, my mother just was like, what you mean you need to go to work? You need to work. Why you ain't at work? And it somehow felt, and I can't speak for her, I'm just saying my opinion, from my observation and perspective, it seemed as if in some instance it was like it embarrassed her, or maybe I seemed like I wasn't doing anything with my life because I was a stay-at-home mom. Now, I'm going to be honest, on the other end, I feel like, and it ain't just her, it's other people too, I feel like there were people who were misers at my life. Like, who are you? And why do you get to stay home and not have to go to work and have a man provide for you? Then, in some instances, some women look at my situation and say, oh, I can never be in that situation, because they see it as, oh, it's a cage. They see it as a means or way of not being able to be your individual self, live your life, because you have a man who gets to control you because they are providing for you. We have to earn something to be able to have this life where you don't have to push and thrive and constantly like just be, you gonna have to pay for that some way. And the way you gonna pay for that is if he gotta give you a life where you don't have to be pushing and providing and doing all of that stuff, then you gonna pay for it by him being able to have dominion over your life and what you do. You are gonna pay for it because you're not gonna be it's not gonna be respected as if it's well deserved because you haven't done anything to deserve that. What you tired for? You know how many times I've heard women, oh, how you tired? Like I can't be tired. Excuse me. Like I can't be tired because I work. Like I've been raising children. Okay, 2 stepsons, 3 children. That's 5 kids that I have taken care of in my care. Cooked, cleaned after, helped with homework, provided a level of some type of nurturing or something to make them feel wanted, needed, secured. That's energy. That's not just a fluke. You know what I'm saying? I don't just be in my house with my feet cut up. With my feet kicked up. You know, oh, I cook. Now y'all eat. I wake up 6 o'clock every morning to make sure my children get up and go to school. I walk my son to school every morning. The only way me being a stay-at-home mom where it just doesn't require so much is if I'm not present. Okay? And then it's the notion that some people have that if I'm a stay-at-home mom, I have to cook every day. I have to clean every day because you can't just be sitting at home like what you doing then if you ain't cooking? Living, relaxing, being. Baby, my job is 365 days a week. There ain't no weekends off. I don't get no weekends off. I can't, as a stay-at-home mom and wife, I can't say, okay, I'm out, I'm clocking out. There is no 9 to 5. There is no 11 to 4. There is no night shift. It's all day shift. Okay, every day, 24 hours. I don't clock out. Because I'm here and I'm present every single day. If I don't want to cook today, I don't have to. I don't have to earn me having some time to rest. I don't have to earn that. I don't have to be pushing from sun up to sundown every day to say, oh, I get to rest now. No, I get to rest because I feel like resting. Because my body said I need a rest. Because my mind and my spirit said I need to replenish and I need to recenter. And on top of that, it's the notion that being a stay-at-home mom is this easy breezy kickback thing. Like, it don't take time. It don't take energy. I don't know what kind of stay-at-home moms y'all be watching. Y'all be looking at. I don't think people realize how much energy it takes to be present with your children. Not to just take them somewhere and be like, okay, y'all go. Like, no, go to the park and actually play with them. Okay, when they sitting outside playing, you actually present in engaging with them. It's not just, okay, here go your lunch. Now I'm going to sit down, watch TV, or I'm going to be on the phone, or I'm going to be scrolling. Like, no, you have to be present with your children. You have to engage with your children. Hey, mama, look at this. Look at, you got to look at it. And how we also find ourselves operating in masculine energy, not realizing it, is because we use masculine energy as this armor, as this way to protect ourselves. It protects us from feeling abandoned. It protects us from disappointment. It protects us from feeling vulnerable. We think those things are weaknesses. We try to protect ourselves from feeling disappointed, hence why we do things ourselves, because that's why you find yourself hyper independent. I'm gonna do it myself because you don't want to feel disappointed. When maybe instead of trying to avoid being disappointed, maybe saying, okay, I can't avoid feelings. Feelings are feelings. There are going to be times where I feel disappointed. What I should kind of focus on, allowing myself to feel disappointed and giving myself the space in the room to see something else there besides disappointment. Okay, yeah, I'm disappointed because I expected this, but we're here now. It happened. Now, how can I operate in this? How can I deal with this without being attached to it to say like, oh, this is why I can't depend on anybody? What immediately comes to mind is, oh, I'm disappointed, so let me go ahead and fix it. Let me fix the disappointment. And see, this is things I struggle with. See, that's where my masculine energy shows up every time, because immediately, however I feel, I'm trying to find a way to get over it and fix it. But in reality, sometimes we have to be in it. We have to be in the feeling. We have to feel the feeling. That's what allows us to connect with ourselves. But we don't have to, like I learned with my coach, we don't have to create a narrative around the feeling or create a story. That's where we need to learn how to detach. Like, I feel disappointed because I asked for this help from these individuals and they didn't show up. And that makes me feel disappointed. It makes me feel sad. We don't have to create the story around it, and creating the story around the disappointment would be, and I feel sad because I just feel like people aren't ever there for me. I can never get somebody to just really be there for me like I'm there for so many people. I'm always there for so many people and nobody is never there for me. I just don't get why people won't see, like I'm creating this whole narrative and this whole story behind this fleeting feeling, because I feel disappointed now. I ain't gonna feel disappointed later. A week from now, I'm sure I'm not gonna feel disappointed. A month from now, some years from now, I'm not gonna still be sitting with that same disappointment. So it's like us creating a story gives it legs. It allows it to kind of form roots. Now it's rooted in our subconscious that disappointment is because people are never there for me and people are always going to let me down. And now this is rooted in our subconscious that you can't depend on people. Melissa, you can't depend on them because they're never going to be there. They're never going to come around. They're always going to disappoint you. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. Do it yourself. The disappointment happened. We can't root ourselves in the story of it. We got to allow ourselves to feel it and then allow ourselves to have the choice to shift that perspective. A better way of looking at this situation. You know what? I felt disappointed. They didn't show up. They didn't come. However, it still doesn't mean that I can't show up for myself. And it's the same thing with abandonment. It's the same thing. Like, don't create a story behind it. We do that because we feel like that's going to protect us from feeling that disappointment again, feeling that abandonment again, feeling vulnerable and out there, like where everybody can see our flaws and our insecurities. But that doesn't protect you. That just suppresses. And the real strength is being able to be okay with your vulnerabilities being seen, because that's who you are. Here is, before we continue, here is a great reflection prompt, something to ask yourself. Ask yourself, where did I learn or get the idea that being soft was not safe, or that resting was lazy, and not constantly doing Like when you rest, that's lazy. Ask yourself that, reflect on that. So now I'm going to discuss the cost or the results of when we constantly just operate in our masculine energy without finding the balance in our feminine energy too. And one I'm going to tell you is burnt out, because I've experienced it. You constantly feel like it's like there is no end. You're on a never ending hamster wheel, just going around and around and around. And no matter how much you try to catch up, you can never catch up. As much as you say, I'm going to do all of this right now, so I don't got to do nothing tomorrow, it's going to be something for you to do. And you're going to get burnt out and you're going to get tired. You struggle to receive support and love. No, that's what I'm saying. Like I learned this a while ago. And it's like, you can't give someone love. And that's true. You can't give love. You can show love. You can express love for someone, but you can't give it to them, because the only way somebody can receive love from you is if they're open enough to receive it from themselves. And you're going to struggle with that when you're constantly operating in your masculine. You're going to struggle to be able to receive genuine love and know what genuine love is. It's going to be hard for you to receive a compliment. It's going to be hard for you to receive gifts. I explain that in my workbook. I have a day where it's about learning how to receive without guilt. Feeling unseen. Oh my gosh, that's something I struggle with. That is something, I'm speaking past tense because I'm manifesting, honey. That is something I struggle with, not feeling seen. Feeling like I'm doing all of this stuff and I don't get no recognition for it. Nobody acknowledges it. Nobody tried. Nobody does this. Nobody does that. Nobody, like, that's how you feel. And it's because you're not connected with your feminine energy. You're not connected within. You're operating solely in your masculine. And when you're operating solely in your masculine, it's all about performing. I told you, performance, achieving, accomplishing. So when you operating in that energy, your mindset automatically is going to be, well, I created a community for Black women. I took my time, created it. I created a workbook. I did all of this. So why isn't anybody here? Y'all don't see me? But once you start tapping into your feminine energy, you realize that I don't have to do all of this. Like, I'm doing it because this is what I want to do. And the people will come. Repeating the same cycles. Oh my gosh, let me tell y'all. Constantly finding yourself back with, you think it's a different person just because they look different on the outside. But you keep drawing in the same type of people, just a different face, just a different mask. It's the same people. You keep drawing yourself in the same situation. It's just a different set of people, a different environment, but it's the same scenario, same situation. Just the pieces, the players and the pieces are different. That's it. That's all. And that's because it's a disconnect. Because when we operate solely in our masculine, which I say is external, it's our doing, we disconnect with what's within. So that means you disconnected with your intuition, your discernment, those things that tell you, don't do that. You disconnected with that. You're not seeing the signs and the symbols and the things and the messages that your spiritual guides, your ancestors, and the Most High is sending you, because you disconnected from it. So I'm going to tell you some ways to find your way back to your feminine energy, back to yourself. Because I don't want y'all to get it misconstrued that tapping into your feminine energy is about doing less, right? Like, oh, okay, I'm going to tap into my feminine energy. She said I could get a soft life and I don't have to do nothing. All I got to do is attract. No, what I mean when I say that is you don't have to do anything but be yourself. That's what I mean. Just being yourself. You don't have to try to be this extra glam person because you want this nice lifestyle, luxury lifestyle. And so you think you have to perform and do things like this to have it. You know, like how they say, act the part until you get the part. Like what I'm saying is you don't have to act the part. Just be yourself. Just be who you are authentically, and you will realize your lifestyle is very much luxury. You will realize that your lifestyle is very much what you want it to be by seeing the beauty and gratitude in it just by being yourself. Because you might realize what's luxury for you might not be luxury for somebody else. A lot of people put a lot on luxury as far as aesthetics, what things look aesthetically. Okay, but luxury could be the type of food you eat, baby. The people who be like vegans, people who eat vegan food, baby, that's not a cheap lifestyle. Quality of life makes your life luxury. So you think luxury is going on the yacht, having a luxury car, having a big house, like the aesthetics thing. But you might realize once you start being yourself and being authentic, you're going to realize that, okay, there's luxury in my lifestyle and who I am because I like things that are of quality, things that last, things that stand a test of time, things that are classic. So small ways to shift that. Rest without guilt. I say that in my workbook, the Soft Girl Era 30 days workbook right now. I got 7 days where you can download for free when you join the community. Say yes to help. Allow people to help you. Let your body, when I say your body energetically, let your body energetically lead you, not your to-do list. So don't let it be, oh, I got to do this. Don't let your mind be, got to do this. No, what is your body telling you? Is your body telling you, okay, I'm ready to get some work done today? Or is your body saying, whew, it's a lot of resistance today of getting this stuff done. Like I'm feeling depleted. I'm feeling drained. I'm feeling like really tired. I feel like I don't really want to do this. And make sure you identify and know the difference, because sometimes the resistance is just not wanting to step out your comfort zone. So know the difference between you mentally not wanting to step out of your comfort zone, your mind, and the difference between your body physically being tired and exhausted and just don't have the energy of doing it. You just, it's you're just tired. So some practices you can begin doing is you can go ahead and get that workbook, sign up for Attract Your Tribe, okay, at bellamanda.com/community, and download that free workbook. It's on my website. It's on the homepage, or you could click the tab where it says the Soft Girl Era. Or you can start journaling with emotion, not logic. Some people call it intuitive journaling, meaning that you're not thinking, you're just expressing, you're just feeling, and you're expressing what you feel. No rhyme, no reason. Doesn't have to be, this topic today. It doesn't have to be a journal prompt. It just you opening up and you just expressing how you feel. Taking some walks by yourself in nature just to observe, or just sit in nature. You could walk, or you could just go somewhere, go outside, sit in your backyard, sit at a park, just to have some time just to connect with yourself, just to center yourself. You can also do this by taking a bath. You can also do this by just having some creative time. Just if you just want to, like, I like line dancing now. I done learned a few of my line dance. Drawing, doing your makeup, writing a short story, writing a poem, just, hands-on stuff. Anything that allows you to kind of get your creativity going. The affirmation I am going to leave with you today is to say, I am safe to soften, and I release the belief that I have to do it all to be worthy. So before I wrap this up, I just want to let you know that it's not your fault. You're not intentionally operating in your masculine energy. This is just a default. This is how you've been conditioned and how you've been trained to survive. But you now sit in a position where you can choose to live. You don't have to survive anymore. You can live. And it's the difference between surviving and living. Living, you get to be present. You get to actually be the experience. You don't have to observe it with everybody else. Y'all can DM me. You can email me. You can write in this comment right now and let me know your response to the reflection prompt that I asked the question about. And tell me, let's have a conversation. Join me in this and share this with someone else. Share this with another Black woman that you know, so we can really have this conversation and bring that conversation to the community. Like I said, sign up now where you can have a support system to help you journey into this energy, to this feminine energy of tapping in and connecting with yourself and attracting, instead of always having to strive and thrive through pushing and doing. All right, on that note, make sure you rate and review this episode, leave a comment, like, subscribe, as well as make sure that you sign up for the community that I've been stressing throughout this whole episode. And go ahead and download that 7-day workbook for free when you sign up with the community. Thank you all once again for tuning in. I love y'all. Vibe high and heal deep. Peace and blessings. I'm out.